4, 3, 2.
All right, welcome back. We are on day 2 of this new year, and with the new year brings a change, or a chance at least, for uncertainty.
Yeah, and so we want everyone to be prepared for change or changes, whatever it may be in your life. We're here with Kristen Holmes this morning. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, indeed.
We are talking about, finances and what are your New Year's resolutions, but you're seeing in your practice, you see a lot of people that are worried or get stressed or anxious in a new year.
Absolutely.
Why?
I think the new year brings a lot of change for everybody, right? We look at how the past year went. Everybody's working to let's have a better new year, new me. And so, but with change comes uncertainty. Things like job change, if your insurance starts over, even new positive changes, happy changes, stressful. If you have a job or a baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We see some of these stresses, they sort of linger into the holidays.
Sure.
And this new year is supposed to be a time to reset and kind of, get a fresh start if you can. Do you help families with that?
Absolutely. We work very hard to help our families transition out of Christmas time, which can be very stressful for a lot of families, and into the new year. And so when we work with families, we look at what are the positive ways in which we can make change going forward.
Yeah, I know 2024 is an election year. When we talk about stresses and anxieties, and among families, this is something that stresses a lot of families out in politics, honestly. So can you talk a little bit about that? What impact that actually has on people and relationships and families?
Yeah, that can be a very difficult topic to navigate. As a marriage and family therapist, we work on what are the communication patterns that we want to improve upon. So maybe not necessarily getting into the nitty-gritty of who this, who that, but focusing on, hey, how do I want to communicate and move forward with my family? What are ways that I can respectfully work with others who may have differences of opinion?
Yeah. Well, you're talking about families, so now I'm imagining parents, children, and these communication lines that could probably get a little twisted or knotted up. How do you do? What analogy do we use there?
Really, I just suggest that families get on each other's level. If you have a small child, I've got a 3-year-old, and so I really have to get on his level and say, I know you're upset right now. You may not understand this, but this is the direction that we're going, and give some options that are age appropriate. If you've got teenagers, your world might be filled with some chaos for a while. Teenagers are very strong in their belief system, and that's good. You're raising strong kids for a tough world. But I really encourage people to kind of get on each other's level and work to move forward in a positive direction.
Yeah, and getting on people's level, mindset, whether you are that teenager or whether you're the parent or the grandparent who has specific things in mind, that this is the way things should be. Can you talk a little bit about embracing change? And how do you encourage people to embrace change when, they may have be very stubborn, I guess. I'm not talking about any one person.
Not calling out anybody, no names. But yeah, when we're looking at embracing change, I think the first thing we have to do is make peace with our past. Now that's easier said than done. I would encourage people, if you're really struggling to kind of overcome some of those roadblocks from last year, get with a good therapist. But thinking about how we're going to progress, not perfection. Okay, and so it's easy to look at social media and think, gosh, everybody has it perfect. I can scroll my timeline and go, man, these people have it all together and I'm bombing it. But looking for every day some progress rather than perfections in our outcome. And then be prepared to pivot. Okay, I love plan A. Plan A is my favorite, but if plan A doesn't work out, I've got plan B and plan C that I'm okay with too. Those are all in my wheelhouse. And so I think when you're looking at trying to develop ways to pivot around the holidays and after, having those plans in place will allow you that mental flexibility.
Is it different for an individual than it is when a family's involved and you're dealing with relationships now as opposed to one person's relationship with themselves or whatever?
Sure, yeah. Individual therapy is very much focused on that one person and their growth and their mindset. And so you might focus on what is my individual goal. But as a family, I have to keep the entire family's goal in mind. So really, when I work with a family or a couple, that couple or that family is my client, not just individual family members.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And talking about for the individual and the stresses, when you mentioned social media and we're talking about New Year's resolutions, you could see how that would be stressful for somebody if they're like, okay, I want that.
Yeah.
And what are you setting sort of those goals and resolutions on?
Almost setting ourselves up to fail, I feel like sometimes.
Right, yeah. Okay, so last minute sort of takeaway, we've got just a little bit of time left. Your message to people who may be hearing this and thinking like, a little anxious going into the new year.
Yeah.
Just something that would help everybody.
You know, going into the new year, I think really focusing on what is it that I want to achieve? How do I become my best self? When we focus on ourselves, all those pieces fall into place. We become a better spouse, a better mom, a better dad, a better friend. So I would encourage people that if you're at the place where you're like, man, I don't have any more bounce back in me, I am tired, I am downtrodden, reach out for some hope and get some help. We have a ton of resources to get started. We also have a crisis line that's available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and those folks are awesome that answer the phones. Or you can text 988. I know we have a generation that's all about texting.
Yeah.
And so really making sure that you're putting yourself, invest in yourself as a priority, because you can't give from an empty cup.
Yeah,
Okay.
988 is what they can
Yes,
text.
988 is what they can text.
Kristen Holmes, thank you so much.
Thank you so
really
much for having
appreciate it
me.
and appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yes,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.